Parents, you know if you have a child that's involved in athletic activities, you are one of their coaches. You might not be sitting in the coach's chair, but you're definitely the coach on the ride there and the ride home, and sometimes you're the coach up in the stands, and you're the coach who gets them to their practices. And so even if you don't know a lot about the specifics of the athletic activity they're doing, it's important to know a few things as one of their coaches. And so I'm going to share with you 3 things to not do and 3 things to do as a Taekwondo sparring coach. Number 1, do not shout at your Taekwondo athlete to keep their hands up. This is not useful information. First of all, there is no combat sport in which it's appropriate to keep your hands up in a fixed position the entire time. There are points in boxing or whatever combat sport it is where hands are usually up that you want your hands down. For example, if you're really far away from your opponent, there's no reason to have your hands way up high. You want the increased mobility that comes with keeping your hands lower. There are times where you may create an opening on purpose to bait your opponent. And specifically in the sport of Taekwondo, usually athletes use more of a cover guard position because it's proven itself more useful. I watched recently a match in which the athlete was coached to keep their hands up, and they kept getting side kicked in the ribs, and they lost the match because of some really terrible advice from their coach. So that's not a useful thing to shout. It's not helpful. But what you can do is alert the athlete to recurring things, recurring places they're getting scored on. Sometimes during the heat of a combat sport match, having that extra set of eyes is helpful. So let's say in a Taekwondo sparring match, someone keeps getting scored on the back with the same technique. You can alert them to that. They're getting you with that roundhouse kick. Try to cover your back when they do that. That's something specific and useful to them that they may not have been catching on to. Much more helpful than keep your hands up. Now, you should only do that if it's a recurring theme, because everyone's going to get scored on here and there. And if the athlete gets scored on, but then they're making noticeable attempts to not get scored on in the same way again, you don't have to alert them every time. It's not really helpful when they get hit once to shout, get your hands up, get your guard there, don't let them kick you in the back. If an athlete gets kicked in the head and you say, don't let them kick your head, is that useful to the athlete? No. Now, if they're getting kicked in the head repeatedly, you can say, watch that front leg roundhouse, get your head back, right? Something like that, where they are made aware of a recurring theme. All right, number 2, don't shout at your athlete, go, 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 kick, 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 kick. That constant onslaught and pressure is not always the right answer. Sometimes athletes should be more defensive. Sometimes they should counter kick. Sometimes they should reserve their energy. If you think of a kick like a bullet, athletes only have so much ammunition in a single match before they just wear out. They don't have unlimited endurance. And they may have other matches after the first one if they win. So it's important to conserve energy and only employ it when it's strategically viable. So it's just like shooting a target. You wouldn't shoot the target if it wasn't up yet. You'd wait for the target to pop up, then you'd shoot and not waste your round. Wait for it to get in the right range, all that stuff, right? So instead of shouting something like that, if you're looking to help motivate the athlete, rather than shouting technical stuff at them, just shout encouragement. You got this, you can do it. That's going to give them psychological encouragement without influencing the technical stuff. And if you don't know what technical stuff they should be doing, you shouldn't shout technical stuff at them. Just let them know that you're there for them and that they can do it, that they can hang in there through that match. Number 3, don't get too caught up on the score, the winning and the losing side of it. Remember that any given student can go to a tournament and depending on who's there, they may or may not win. It's just who they get. One person can definitely beat other people out there and will definitely lose to other people out there. What you're trying to do is track their progress from event to event. So you have this idea of what they're capable of from class time. They're not going to be better than they are during class time. So all your groundwork has to be put in during the class hours. Once you get to the tournament, what you want to see is, can they be the best version of themselves while they're under pressure? Because it's really hard to do that when you are sparring people you don't know in a setting where there's a lot of pressure. Can you still pull out of yourself the qualities that the instructors see in class? If they can do that, then that's a successful match for them. So it doesn't really matter. If they could win a match and have sparred terribly compared to what they're capable of, that's not really a victory then. Likewise, they could lose a match to a superior fighter, but have done everything that was appropriate for them to do given the skill disparity. And that's a success because they've used all the tools they have, all the training they have to its fullest. So look at it that way. Did the athlete perform to their highest caliber based on what they are capable of in class? Or did they not perform up to their capability? And remember that it's going to be progressive, so the first tournament they're almost certainly not going to perform as well as they do in class just because of the environment being different. It's very difficult to overcome those nerves at first. And then progressively they'll get more and more in tune with those events and start performing like they do in class. So judge it that way, not so much on what the score is. If all you care about is winning, well, we can set up matches so that they always win them. Just find lower ranks and smaller students and people with less skill, and they'll win every match. But that's not really going to help the student grow, and that's the point of doing these athletic events like Taekwondo sparring, is helping the student learn to grow and adapt to more pressure. So that's what we're trying to provide. So there you have it, 3 things to not do and what you should do instead. Thanks for watching.